Hey, I'm April.
I'm Bayleigh, and this is the Nestled Podcast.
Here we chat about how to help design meet purpose. Our hope is that you will find inspiration to live more intentionally.
So join us each week as we let you peek in our nest.
And as always, the door will be open.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Hope that didn't bust anyone's eardrums. We'll try to turn the volume down on that.
Yeah. That was worth every penny of the 75 cents that they cost. We have made it to 2019, you guys.
You know the picture of like a car like skidding in, like blowing up dust, skidding around the corner? That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, we're here.
You're here.
We made it.
2018 was big for you guys because you redid the house and moved.
Yeah.
This is the first year I feel like in my family that I'm not limping across and saying, okay, this year's going to be better.
This year's going to be the one.
2018 was much easier and calmer for our family. Not that there wasn't some ups and downs, but it was a lot easier than the previous couple for sure.
I think it was one of our hardest years in a lot of ways, but I'm always thankful for the hard because I feel like we grow the most, we learn the most, and my word for last year was growth. We'll talk about that later, but so I do see how the difficult always brings about that, but I'm glad to be here. I love a new year. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that I say all the time. I love a Monday because it's like a new week. I love the morning, not like waking up in the morning, but I love that every day's a new day. It's a new opportunity.
The new start of the school year is always good. Yeah.
Any kind of like fresh start. And so the new year is one of my favorite restart, like refresh button kind of things. So I'm anticipating great things.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
It is.
I can feel it in my bones.
Yes, I'm excited about what 2019 has for Posh Nest Designs.
Yeah.
Nestled podcast as we're kind of transitioning out of the design side. So
yeah, you guys call us. Talk to your church leaders and bring us in. We are loving talking to ladies groups.
Yeah. We're excited about getting some more speaking opportunities this year, and we think that the Lord is going to really use that. He's given us what we feel like is an important message for women and men alike in the church, and it's not because we have some wisdom or knowledge, but the Lord has really done this work in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're excited to bring it forward. So, all right, guys, 2019, love your home.
Woohoo!
Love your neighbors. Invite them inside. You can do it.
Yes.
I've started randomly leaving, like, replies to people's comments on Instagram whenever I see them say, I would love to invite people in, but my house is what... I'm like, you've got it.
You can do it.
Random person I don't know. Here's your dose of encouragement.
Yes.
Come listen. I'll always want to say, hey, you should come listen to our podcast. We talk about that.
Tell your friends.
We also had a few instances with local ladies over Christmas.
Yes.
Being at the mall and things like that more, where people listened to our podcast and came up and told us that. And we cannot say thank you enough. I feel like we're always very awkward because it's always unexpected for us.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for the encouragement because this is just a passion project for us, but we love that we get to do it. And it's like one of our favorite things that we do. So
yes, it is so neat that you guys actually hear our voices each week and that you have listened and followed along on this journey with us. And I don't know, it's just a really humbling thing. And we love whenever somebody comes up to us and is like, hey, I listened to your podcast. And like inside I'm like, yay!
Yeah. I really love it when my husband's there. 'Cause I'm like, do you
hear the impact I'm making on people's lives?
How proud of you of me right now on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm just kidding. Kind of. I do like it when he's there. Oh,
that's really funny.
Anyway, so if you guys are new around here, this voice is Bayleigh.
And I'm April.
And this is the Nestled Podcast.
We're so glad that you joined us.
Yes, and if you've been around for a while, first of all, cheers to you.
Here's to you.
We're sticking it out.
Woohoo! Yes, for all of you who have hung in there with us when we make promises, and we always have the best intentions.
We do.
And whenever we don't follow through with something, it is not because we don't care.
Right. Right. We promised a Christmas episode with our kids and with Christmas memories, and we planned for that.
We did.
But like I said earlier, this is a passion project. We don't make any money off the podcast at this point. And so whenever we start prioritizing the podcast before our family, it becomes an issue. And so the kids got home.
Things got crazy.
Some of the kids struggle with Christmas time, and it just couldn't happen.
It didn't happen.
So our apologies. But we're going to save those Christmas memories from this year's guest, and we're going to add them to next year's fall guest, and
Yes.
it is going to be like an epic 2019 Christmas episode.
So we constantly talk to our kids about Advent and the building up, the anticipation of Christ coming. And there was 400 years where they didn't hear anything from the Lord, and they were just like doing the law, waiting on Jesus to come. They didn't know how he's coming. So like, we're just trying to be like the Lord.
Yeah,
We're just building up the anticipation. Next year, you're going to get that Christmas episode, and it's going to be epic.
And you know, our kids will be able to read better. So when they read you the Christmas story,
they're going to have a whole nother year of practicing for you guys.
Yep. And so if you listened last year, on our New Year's episode, we did cheers to random things in our lives, and we're going to start out today doing more of that, and then you'll hear a little bit about our last year, the word that we each chose, and then the words that we're choosing for 2019.
Yes.
So, you ready?
I'm ready. So the first one we briefly mentioned, but let's just say it again just for good measure. Here's to you, our loyal listeners. You have really made a difference in our 2018.
Yes. I mean, a huge difference.
Truly.
When we started our podcast a year ago, we really didn't know if anyone was going to listen. I mean, maybe this is the most we've ever put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
Because we were prepared that, like, this could be really embarrassing, and we're just going to, like, we'll just close the Instagram account and pretend it never happened.
We'll just shut it all down.
Yeah.
And if anyone mentions it, we'll be like, podcast what?
Right. Oh, yeah, we tried that one time, but it's not how it's cracked up to be.
It didn't work out.
So. But no, y'all have listened and you've shared with your friends, and it's continued to grow. And, I mean, we're a little over a year in, and we still get so pumped whenever we see those numbers go up each month. And humbled and blessed.
Yes.
So, yes, cheers to you.
Thank you.
My next one, cheers to our pediatrician. I might have even said that last year, but she's literally the best for our family. Whenever Miller was a newborn, she saw her temper, and she said, Bayleigh, she's going to be a newborn who holds her breath until she passes out. Oh, I'm sorry. She's going to be a toddler who holds her breath until she passes out when she's mad. So I don't want the hospital calling me, telling me she's having seizures, because you're going to remember this conversation and know that's what happened. And you guys, Christmas night, she got mad at us. She held her breath until she passed out, and she did have a seizure. And we all survived it, and I took so much comfort in that conversation with the doctor. So cheers to you, Dr. Calametti. You're the bomb.
The best. All right, the next one. Cheers to the exterminator. We let you guys in on that little tidbit of Bayleigh's life.
Yeah. I know, I said 2018 was so great, but really, we did have some things.
There was some things.
We had a mother raccoon move into our attic and have her babies, but the exterminator got them out, and they were all alive.
Yes.
And they moved on
to another place. Yeah. Maybe they live in your attic now.
They don't live in mine.
Here's to you.
So here's to you, exterminator with the fox on his truck.
And speaking of, here's to the DIY pest control online, because we both experienced a flea infestation this year when we got rid of our dogs.
Apparently, when you get rid of your dog, which, sorry dog people, don't hate us, but, you know, we had a reason. But when you get rid of your dog, as if the trauma to your children isn't enough, apparently they leave the fleas and they cover your house. And so we had a flea infestation.
Yes, and we did as well. So we are so thankful that you can find the stuff online to treat your entire house and family
works
with that. So
DIYpestcontrol.com if you ever find yourself in that position. It also works for mosquitoes.
It does.
Different stuff, but and roaches. You can get rid of everything. All the sprays
I'm
they have on
pretty
there.
sure it's probably killing us as well, slowly and softly. But I would rather die slowly and softly than be covered in fleas
on me. So there's that.
There is that. All right.
Cheers to you, Ari, for the most dramatic season finale of The Bachelor of all time. They finally brought it to us in 2018.
Womp womp.
We don't like you,
We still don't like you.
but for once ABC made true to their promise and gave us
Yes.
the most dramatic ending of all
The
time.
most dramatic. And I feel like we should do an entire segment on a cheers to Costco.
Our
Man,
favorite place.
it has really changed our life.
Where everybody knows your name.
Bayleigh actually found out that we have a neighbor who works at Costco.
Yes.
Because they're in there so much
Yep.
that she recognized them.
There's also a mother of 2 children that go to our school that now comes up every time and says, "What grade are you in?" "Oh, I'm gonna tell her daughter's name."
Uh-huh.
"That I saw you again." I'm like, I bet she's like, "Yeah, Mom, you see them
You
there
see
every
them
day."
every day.
Yep.
Yes, so here's to Costco
For their passion fruit Moscato,
for those salted caramel chocolates.
for the free samples that they feed our children after school when we have nothing else to do.
For the cafe that can feed my entire family of 7 for under $20.
And they added chili, so my
Chili.
gluten-free child also can now eat at Costco.
The other day we bought chili that we dispersed among us to make chili dogs. They also give you cheese for your chili. And I was like, our life has changed. We can get chili dogs at Costco now.
Aniston said she likes my chili almost as much as
Oh.
the Costco chili. So she is a fan.
Yes. And here's to the kindergarten teachers. I feel like they deserve a special shout out, not just any old teacher, but our
kindergarten.
teachers,
Oh my gosh.
Miss Drews
And
Miss
Miss
Kraft.
Kraft.
If you ever listen to this podcast, here's to you.
Here's to you for so many reasons.
Oh, we cannot even begin.
We know that our kindergartners are special people, and yet they feel so loved by you, so I know that means you don't just yell at them all day long.
Yep.
Thank you, Miss Kraft, for only letting Aniston go to the nurse about once a week,
Yes.
because I know she asks every day.
And thank you, Miss Drews, for only giving Gideon 2 behavior reports sent home. For the entire 2 quarters.
Because maybe he deserved a few
Maybe
more.
he deserves at least a couple a week.
But they love our babies,
She
and
does.
we love them.
Yes.
And so here's to all kindergarten teachers who put up with peeing in the pants and teaching kids to read and all the tears and all the drama
And the hitting and the throwing up and the, here's to you,
Yeah,
teachers.
let me tell you what I don't want. Someone else's child throwing up on me.
No.
So
Yep.
your child's thrown up on
He
a teacher
has.
before.
He has. We love you, Cassandra.
Yeah, that's for you, Miss Stewart.
Oh, here's to Atlanta, good old ATL.
We have had 2 work trips. That was our only trips away from our kids in 2018, and they both took place in Atlanta. So thanks for giving us work.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Also, thank you for IKEA in
Yes.
Atlanta.
For really increasing our patience during that work trip.
Yes.
If you guys remember that, we waited I might not even get into the story, but we were there for a good
An entire day.
14 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, literally for a couple hours after they closed.
Uh-huh.
Of no fault of our own, so.
Yep. So that was, that's why I say the hard things really bring out something in us. And I will say that IKEA trip really tested our endurance, our patience,
And that of our husbands.
and our ability to be kind to people.
Yes. Hey, and we made a friend.
We did.
And Susie may listen to this because
She-
she follows us on Instagram. I'm going to give you a shout out and tag you, Susie, so you know to listen to this. Susie Chapstick on Instagram became our friend
She did.
in one of our worst moments in the late night IKEA purgatory.
I'm just thankful for the Holy Spirit who doesn't allow me to say all the things that I think in my heart.
Well, I said a lot of things. I won't. That's how me and Susie found each other, because I was saying things quietly, sort of, but
It
I was
happens.
saying them. Anyway,
All right, here's to our children.
for all the gray hair they gave us.
For all the gray hair. To all of the new words that my boys learned for their private parts that have really amped up my embarrassment factor. I thought that I was to a point that they couldn't really embarrass me anymore. And they really learned some things this
Stepped
year.
it up.
Stepped it up.
They're so funny, though. Cheers to your boys for giving my husband all the laughs he doesn't get by not having sons because he thinks they are hysterical with all of their boy jokes.
The boy jokes, y'all.
Seriously, though, our kids are awesome.
We love them.
They do drive us nuts, but they are awesome. And they're going to all be very interesting, lovable adults.
We hope they're going to change the world.
We hope so. Look, I'm doing my best to lead by example. I hope that they are taking in about 25% of what they see. And the rest of it, they just kind of...
Let it go.
Let it go.
Yep. Here's to the iPhone. Been capturing my life in photos and videos for what now? 10 years?
Oh my gosh.
I mean...
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
About 10 years.
If it weren't for the iPhone, where would we be?
With no photos.
Right.
We'd be,
or maybe we should say smartphone for all you people who are like Android users.
Yes. Do you remember whenever you were graduating high school and there were the few kids who had like only 2 pictures of their entire childhood? That would be my children.
Yeah, for sure.
So shout out for that. Also, all the videos that I for sure would not have pulled out a video camera nearly as much as I've had my phone to record things. So, cheers to the Instapot for keeping our families fed.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I think we shouted out to the crock pot, but this year is the year of the Instapot, and I barely even used my crock pot.
I got rid of my crock pot.
Well, there you go.
Because there's a slow cooker setting on the Instapot, and it really has saved our family many, many nights this year.
Especially during swim season.
Yes.
So, and along with that, another shout out to Costco, the big 20-pound bags of Costco rice for feeding the army of people that we've invited into our homes this year because...
Feeding the entire neighborhood.
It makes the meals stretch.
Costco, you really are the MVPs of the year.
They really are. Cheers to Amazon Prime for providing Christmas for our families.
Christmas for our families. Also, a lot of finishing touches for design jobs.
Yeah, oh gosh, yes.
And
also a lot of your home decor.
My entire house came from Amazon.
Also, like, most of my kids' back to school stuff.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much just anything. I didn't have to leave my house. And I ordered it, and it shows up on my stuff.
In 2 days.
Shout out to that for sure.
Oh, and a shout out, we said this last year, but Woodland Swim Club deserves a cheers again this year.
Cheers to Woodland. The sweet neighborhood pool that...
It's like a throwback to 1970.
I wish everybody could
I feel like
Woodland
we've talked it up so much that we're gonna really overpopulate the place this year because I've talked to so many people about how much we love the swim club.
Look, we need to go around swim practice with our little Zoom recorder, which shout out to my mom for giving us a mic recorder that now we can do
Becky.
Interviews. Merry Christmas to
Merry
me.
Christmas, Bayleigh.
Portable interviews. But we need to bring our little Zoom recorder around swim practice and let everybody get to know the people of the swim club because they are really amazing people. We can let them talk to Miss Velda, Aniston's teacher, Miss Kraft.
Miss Kraft. We need to tell her about the podcast.
I mean, I think she would really
appreciate how much we appreciate her and talk about her to everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
She may not actually appreciate it, so.
Well, we only say nice things. Only nice things.
And shout out to those swim team coaches.
Man.
I'm telling you.
If y'all could have seen the difference of what they started with our kids last summer and what we finished with, it was really something.
It's truly remarkable.
And we both taught our kids to swim, so we know how hard it is. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they really got them looking pretty good.
Hey, we got some ribbons and medals.
I mean, I received no medal. Well, actually, Maisie got a trophy.
She did.
Because she went from taking 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go down to the pool to break in a minute. So, like, I mean, how's that for one summer?
How many times did she flip over on her back that first time?
Oh my gosh, at least 35.
It became so humorous. Because she would, like, take one stroke and then flip on her back.
And then, like, stay there. Uh-huh. But, yeah, she got it. And so no one was going to touch that amount of time being shaved off.
Yes. Shout out, cheers to that 1-star rating. Y'all, we were so proud of our 5 stars. All we had was 5-star ratings.
Somebody gave us a 1-star rating. So thank you for humbling us.
Thank you for keeping us humble.
We love you too.
We really appreciate it. And our last one, we want to cheers to our hater neighbors Here's to you who really remind us that you can try really hard.
And some people aren't going to like you.
Some people aren't going to like you. And you have to be okay with that. But also, it gives us an ability to say to you guys, you're not going to always get it right.
That's right. Yes, it definitely keeps us humble in that way because we've made some really great close relationships with some neighbors. And then there's just those few that it's like, I can't sit here and say, I'm best friends with everyone on my street because that would be a lie because some people do not like that we want to get to know them.
Right. So we need some humility sprinkled in there.
Yeah. I know I've said this on the podcast before, but that in middle school, my mom was like, well, do you like everyone? No. Well, everyone's not going to like you, so you have to get over that. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Becky.
I carry that lesson into my adulthood with my neighbors.
I really appreciate the realistic approach to parenting that Becky has.
Yes. Well, and I needed that because I would not be a very realistic parent if I didn't have that to look back on because I would be all like fairy tales and rainbows.
Yeah.
But she grounded me.
Good for you.
Literally and figuratively.
Cheers to Becky.
Cheers to BB. She's a lot more fun as a BB than she was as a mom. But it all comes out in the wash.
All comes out in the
Love
wash.
you, Mom.
So as we transition into what we have deemed our one little word, I mean, it's very big now.
Yeah.
We talked about last year how I've done this for a lot of years, and it really has kind of been, I don't know, it's a very like searching, soul searching, seeking the Lord, asking for, just give me something that kind of leads me in. What am I going to hold fast to this year?
And it's so much better for somebody like me than a resolution. I'm not going to stick to a resolution.
No.
But with your word, it's so easy to, even if you forget about it for a little while, then when you get reminded and you go back and you're like, okay, let me see, what have I learned about that so far? And then moving forward, how can I continue to grow in that? And so I really
So looking back, what was your word last year?
My word last year was structure. And if you're wondering, my life is still not very structured. But I was thinking back on it, and I think whenever I picked it, I was hoping that, like, suddenly my life would be organized. And, you know, I'm never going to be super organized. But there were a number of ways where we were much more structured with our money this year, and we got a lot of things paid off. We got all credit cards paid off. Really, our only debt now is our student loans in our house. And so, like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Our kids, we got a lot more structured with their schedule, and they, on their own, go to bed at 7:30 now. We got a lot more structured with meal times, and we very rarely find ourselves at Little Caesars. Maybe once every other month we're at Little Caesars, which is a big
now
change.
We're shouting out to Costco instead of Little Caesars.
Right, there you go. And so, I mean, we definitely did get structured in some areas, but, like, is my house super organized like I hoped? No.
But
That's okay.
But my word was growth. So any growth is
That's right. It's something.
It's something. And as we were talking about, Lance and I were talking about the other night about the word from last year and what were we gonna kind of hold on to this year. And our word last year was growth. And y'all, I mean, every time I always think I thought I was gonna learn this lesson in a different way.
It's true. You do get some doozies every time.
We talked about how much we grew in our faith and in our learning that we can trust the Lord even in the hard things. We learned how our growth in endurance and there were a lot of things that just personally were really difficult. And I don't know. It doesn't matter necessarily, but we also grew a little bit in our house.
Yes, you did.
The size of our house. So that was good.
Well, and you know, 2 years ago you did Simplify, and y'all went to the tiny house, and this house that you're in now would have felt like a tiny house. It would have felt like, man, we just really reduced the size of our home, and instead it's like, this house is so big. Yeah. Look at all this space. And so
this is so nice. Yeah.
You grew in that way.
So sure. I don't know, I think that our growth is always much more a matter of the heart, but I think that the growth, one of the things Lance said is that any suffering, anytime we are able to join in the sufferings of Christ because he suffered, that we get to know him more intimately. And even though we did not experience, so many people had so much harder things that they went through. And so I don't even want to pretend that we have any comparison to someone who lost a child or who experienced an awful disease or something tragic. But our experiencing of suffering in the way of people coming against us and that kind of thing, and big and small ways, and that made us lean on the Lord more, and so that's always a good thing. Anything that makes me feel like I'm desperate to hear from him and desperate for him is something that is good. So,
well, Justin and I got to watch that all happen very closely, and we are proud of you guys and how you handled things, and we're proud to be your friends.
Aw, thanks.
And, it's like we talked a few weeks ago with Rachel about how it's like, yes, there are people who maybe had things that were harder, but it's okay to say, man, that was hard. Like, that was a really hard season, and there were a lot of really hurtful things that happened.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to say, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it was hard, but you can choose your worries, and then you can choose to set them aside.
And then we can lay them down.
You can choose to identify them, whatever she said.
Yeah.
Choose to see your worries, and then choose to lay them down. And
so 2019, what's your plan?
We're going to embrace. That's our word. Yeah, it was probably like late November is when I prayed about it the first time, and immediately God gave the word embrace. And then over the coming week, there are a few different confirmations of that and things that we're looking towards the new year that it keeps popping in my head. I'm like, there's that embrace, and there's that embrace. And so I don't want to go too far into what I think that's going to be for us.
It never shakes out the way you think it's going to.
Yeah, so I don't want to, but like, embrace. That's our family's word for this year.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to see how that plays out for you guys. Our word is substance, which I feel like requires a whole explanation, but I won't give you like the long explanation. But I kept feeling like the Lord was kind of leading me to that, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to need you to give me something else. But we are jumping into a series on the Sermon on the Mount, and as I was reading and it talking about how we are the light of the world, and then I started thinking about that Jesus is the light, and so as his image bearers, we are the light.
Right.
Then the Holy Spirit reminded me of a passage in Colossians that talks about shadows. And anyway, in the whole thought of light and shadows, y'all, my brain, I'm sorry. but it says, all these things are shadows and all the stuff that it's talking about. And it says, but Christ is the substance. And so I just think that is going to be our filter for the year. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but in what we allow in our hearts and our minds and our home and, in so many different ways that we hold on to things that are substance and not shadows. And so that's what we're doing. It's kind of embracing the substance. So we can kind of...
They always kind of go together accidentally. We never talk about it until, like, we know for sure. Like, this is the first time we've talked about it. And, they always kind of work hand in hand. That's interesting. Yeah. I think as we go into 2019, a reminder that Justin and I were thinking about, and it's something that some of you may want to take too, is we were talking just about Jesus and the way that he's always depicted and the way that we think he probably actually was. And he's always, like, if you see a film or anything like that, he's appears to be just so pious and above. And not that he was perfect, there's no denying. But don't you think God has a sense of humor?
Absolutely.
If any of us are funny on this earth, it's because God has put that in you. Like, God has a sense of humor. And so we were saying, don't you wish you could see a film of him, like, with the disciples, like, being guys and being buddies and joking? Like, you would just be so drawn to him. And the crowds would be giggling, and he would be so joyful. And we talked about some people who we would compare to him in a small way. I won't say their names in case they ever listen to this. But then we started talking about, like, those bracelets we used to always wear, the, like, what would Jesus do bracelet? And it almost was like this noose that everybody wore around their wrist, where it was like a reminder of, like, I'm about to do that, but what would Jesus do?
Right.
But what would Jesus do? Would Jesus say this about,
Right,
you know?
right.
And so when we go into 2019, we were thinking about that same concept, but like, what would Jesus do?
Mm-hmm.
Because he wouldn't be worried about all the things he wasn't
Right.
gonna do. It, like, if we're in a situation, not like, what would Jesus do? But like, seriously, in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
what would Jesus turn his back on this person? Would Jesus embrace this person? If Jesus was asked this question, how would he respond? And so as we go into this new year, that's kind of like our goal, is to think through that a little bit more.
Yeah, and in even, you know, along the same line and thinking and talking about the substance, it's this kingdom mindset of being a picture of the kingdom of God here on earth. And as his image bearers, I mean, that is what Christian is, Christ-like, and we are these little Christs here on this earth, and collectively we are to be a picture of him. And so that is, the people who were drawn to him were the people who were the desperate and the broken and the hurting. And the people who hated him were the ones who thought they had it all together.
Right.
And so
who wear that bracelet as a reminder of like, I don't do the things you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, let's stop being so legalistic about it, and let's get our hands dirty, and let's love people, really love people. Let's really embrace people.
Yes. And it's that the commonly quoted prayer, but it talks about your kingdom come, your will be done. And so there's this, I think that if we go into this year with that mindset of wanting to see the kingdom of God lived out in our homes, in our hearts, in our lives, in our families, in our churches, that we're going to end this year saying, oh my word, what did the Lord just do?
Yeah, I hope so.
I can't wait.
I'm excited.
So we're so excited to hear from you guys and what your word is for the year.
Please tell us, because we love reading those from people.
Yes. And
Hear
we're
what you guys
gonna
chose.
we're gonna try to get back on social media when our kids go back to school next week. It probably won't be until then. But until then, Happy New Year's, you guys.
Happy New Year's. We're so glad that you're here.
We are so
can't
thankful
say that
for
enough.
you. Yes.
It's another one of those new beginnings where we're just like, here we still are. And it's because you guys are listening. So
Yes.
thank you.
And if you don't follow us on Instagram, go there and find us, Nestled Podcast. You can find us online at nestledpodcast.com, and also on Facebook under the same name.
Yep. And leave us a
rating
or review.
Like we said.
Reviews, actually, we like more because we get to read your words.
Yes. And
but we'll take ratings, too.
if you're gonna leave a 1-star, then you can just not do that. So
we already got our 1 star.
we got
so
that
we don't
one.
need any more.
We're good. We're good on those.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, you guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you guys for peeking in our nest.
We hope you come back next week. As always, the door will be open.